Are you thinking about buying or selling in the Huntsville area but not sure how the market is performing or how that would affect what you're trying to do? Well, this video is for you because I break down exactly what the Huntsville market is doing in April of 2026 and how that affects buyers and sellers. But before we begin, if you're thinking about buying or selling and not sure what the process is, I help people just like you every single week walk through the process to successfully reach their real estate goals. All you have to do is click the link in the description and schedule your strategy call, and we'll talk about exactly what you want to do and how to get you there. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to go over April 2026. We're going to talk about the Huntsville area market. Like before, I go over Madison County, Huntsville, Madison, Harvest, Meridianville, and Owens Crossroads. These are just either Huntsville, Madison, or suburbs of the Huntsville area, and then I compare them to the statistics from April of 2025. Alright, so this is Madison County. These are snapshot for April 2026. As of right now, there are currently 2,282 active listings, 1,247 pending, and last month there was 670 homes sold. That is up from 641 last year, a 4.5% increase. Average sales price $381,000. That's up 2% from last year. And then days on market is 52 days. That is down 8% from last year. So as you can see, sales volume is up, prices are up, and houses are selling faster all across Madison County. Alright, next we'll move into Huntsville. As you can see here, there are 942 active listings, 478 pending. There were 309 sold. That is up from 261 April of last year, for an 18.4% increase in the number of houses sold. Average sales price is $368,000. That's up from $357,000. That's a 3.3% increase. And then, as we saw for Madison County, days on market is down to 50 days from 56 last year. So as you can see, prices are up, and the number of houses that are sold is up in the Huntsville area as well. Alright, so on to Madison, the city of Madison. There are 597 active listings, 376 pending. For April, there were 162 homes sold. That is up from 157. That's not that big of a increase. It's only 5 more sold than last year. But we see here average sales price $402,000. That is of course more than Huntsville, but it is down from $445,000 from last year. And looking at the houses that were sold, the difference is the highest property that was sold for April of 2026 was $950,000 or so. And then from last year in April, there was a $1.5 million property that was sold. So that's where that discrepancy is coming from. So looking at March of this year and last year, the average price was around $410,000. So I think last year's $445,000 for April is just because that one property that was $1.5 million. That was the reason for it being $445,000. Days on market, you can see it's the exact same from last year. We're looking at 50 days. All right, we'll move on to Harvest. Harvest still is a very interesting area. It's where prices are a little bit lower, and properties seem to be moving a little bit quicker. But as you can see here, there were 66 sold. That's a little bit of a decrease from last year. 69 in April of 2025. Average sales price is up about $25,000 or so to $358,000. That's up from $326,000 from last year, so 9.8% increase. Days on market, this is a big one. So if you're looking to buy in the Harvest area, you got to be a little bit quicker than the other areas, down to 48 days on the market. It's not substantially quicker than, say, Madison at 50, but you still have to have that in mind that Harvest is moving a little bit faster than the other areas. So if you want to live in the Harvest area, you got to be prepared to move a little bit quicker. All right, Meridianville. As you can see, 196 active listings, 80 pending, 36 homes sold. That's down from 48 last year. That's kind of a bigger drop off than the other locations that we've already covered. Average sales price is up to $370,000 from $343, and then days on market is 94. There was probably one property that was on the market a long time and closed during April, and that's probably why that's a big jump. I can't recall what it was for March, so that's likely what that is. But as you can see, it's still taking a little bit longer in this area compared to Huntsville, Madison, and Harvest, that we're all in the 50-day range or so. Even if that was the case, that there was a property that was on the market, say, a year and that actually closed in April of 2026, it's still, Meridianville has a higher days on market than the other locations. Alright, next we're going to cover Owens Crossroads. Owens Crossroads, 57, we'll start with active listings, 146 active listings, 100 pending, 57 homes sold last month, and average sales price of $454,000. That is down from $463 last year. So both the number of homes and the sales price for Owens Crossroads is down a little bit, but days on market has gone up, or has become shorter this year than last year in April. So 36 days on the market. This is the quickest out of all of them. And so once again, if you're looking in the Owens Crossroads area, you're looking at higher sales prices, but houses are not staying on the market as long in Owens Crossroads, just because it's a highly sought after area, and we know that communities here are going to carry a higher sales price and go off the market a lot quicker. So if you're a buyer, keep that in mind. If you're also a seller in Owens Crossroads, know that your property is probably going to sell quicker than if it were in any of the other locations that we've covered today. So, but your property still has to be ready to go, and along with all that, along with all the locations we've covered, your house needs to be ready. As you can see, sales prices are up a little bit, but you need to have everything ready to go, and so that you can get those higher sales prices. So just something to think about if you're a seller, that where your house is located could dictate how long your house sits on the market and what the sales price is. So this one right here, we see that in all locations other than Madison, the average sales price from last year is lower than what it is this year. Like I said, for Madison, it was probably because that one property of $1.5 million that skewed that number a little bit for April of 2025. But as you can see, there was an increase in sales price, average sales price for each of the areas that I covered here. Harvest led the appreciation with a 9.8% price gain from last year. So as you're starting to see the Harvest area sales prices grow, because people are realizing that you can get a little bit more house, a little bit more land, and the commutes aren't that bad from Harvest if you're considering where you work. So people are starting to realize that Harvest is a nice place to live. You get a little bit more property, a little bit more house for the price, but we're starting to see a considerable amount increase in the sales prices just because of that demand. Alright, so what this means for you, for the buyers and sellers, you got more options for buyers. You can see that we had 2,282 active listings. We got for this says fastest markets. So what this means for both buyers and sellers is that certain certain areas are going to depend on how fast things are moving. So if you're a buyer looking at, like we mentioned, Harvest and Owens Crossroads, you need to be prepared, be ready to go, have that pre-approval ready. know what your budget is, and be able to act on a property if you like it that meets your criteria. So for sellers, you know that your house is not going to sit on the market. You can be a little bit closer to what your goal is for pricing the house there, because there's a little bit more demand. Other areas, Huntsville, Madison, you're going to need to be more strategic on where you set your pricing for your listing, and that's just that it depends on the property and where the location is. Moving on, sellers are gaining equity. Like I said, sales prices are up this year, so that means there's appreciation for all the areas that we've covered, and it's continuing to gain momentum that way. So sellers are going to be able to capitalize on that equity that's increasing. All right, so for the market, the key takeaway is Madison County seems to be trending towards a balanced to more of a seller's type condition. Sellers are still having to place themselves in a way that can quickly sell a house, but they also have the ability to price it where they want and still be able to sell quickly. So buyers aren't able to offer really low and then ask for closing costs, and it's still not a buyer's market, but it's more balanced with just tipping just a tad bit to sellers. So you still need to be strategic on where you place your pricing. You need to have your presentation good, like I always talk about. You need to have it accessible to be seen by buyers, and you need to choose an agent that's able to market your property the right way so that more buyers can see it. So all this is saying is that your pricing can be, you still have to be strategic where you place it, but you still be able to get, like I said here, you're gaining equity. You're still going to be able to place it to where you are going to come out on the positive side for equity, depending on when you purchase the house. There's still some properties that were purchased in 2023, 24, where that was kind of the height, and some of these prices are starting to come back down to earth. Those properties, unfortunately, I saw something the other day where somebody listed a house $100,000 less than they purchased. Unfortunately, that kind of stuff happened in 2023, 24, where people were way overpaying, and having to move quickly. Now in 2026, they're kind of losing some of that equity that they put into the house, and that's unfortunate. That's just what kind of happened. But if you purchase prior, 2020 prior or so, you should have a considerable amount of equity in your property. So that's all I have for this week's market, or this month's market update. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Phone number 256-542-0226. You can also, like I said earlier, you can click the link in the description and set up a strategy call to be able to learn what you need to do to be able to meet your real estate goal. If you think about selling in the Huntsville area, I've recorded a video on the 5 mistakes that you want to avoid when you're selling your house. The video is right here, so go click it. I'll see you over there.